Welcome to Ask a Monk. Today I'm going to try to use my phone as a video camera. I think it's got a pretty good camera on it. So today I thought I would answer the question about alcohol. And I know I've talked about this before in other videos, but never as a separate topic. So I'd just like to go over basically the reasons why our practice is to refrain from alcohol entirely. The question was whether it's necessary to abstain from alcohol 100% when taking alcohol once in a while can bring pleasure. And the person even said it's a great pleasure for them to drink alcohol. So what's the problem? And I think this comes from in general, it comes from a lack of understanding of what the moral precepts are for, and a general lack of understanding of Buddhist morality, because Buddhist morality is not like, say, Christian morality in a classical sense. I mean, Christian morality is a diverse topic, but the Judeo-Christian morality in general is thought to, in its classical form, is thought to be because of an injunction from God, and because of the effect that it has on other people. It's bad to kill and so on. And our general understanding of morality is because of the effect that it has on other people. So something is immoral if it hurts someone else, and so on. Buddhist morality, as I've said before, is totally the opposite. It's concerned entirely with the effect that it has on oneself, because the idea being that if you do something based on greed, anger, or delusion, it hurts yourself. And in fact, causing suffering for other people, it has a much greater impact on your own mind than on the other person. It's possible to be the victim of violence or theft or so on, and escape without any damage whatsoever, depending on a person's ability to deal with change and stress and so on. But a person who commits the act is in a much graver danger, or has a much isn't able to escape the effect that the act has on one's mind, because of the inherent greed, anger, and delusion it involves. So I think if we understand morality in this way, and if we really understand Buddhist morality, then it's I think the fifth precept on not taking drugs and alcohol is actually, I would say, the easiest to understand, because it has the most direct impact on one's own mind. And in fact, it's the opposite of meditation practice. So if you practice a little bit of meditation, if you're mindful a little bit, you gain benefit and clarity of mind. If you drink alcohol just a little bit, it has the opposite effect. You lose clarity of mind, you lose awareness, and so on. So if you're very mindful, it has a great effect. If you're very, if you consume a lot of alcohol, it has the opposite effect. You become completely unaware and have no clarity of mind whatsoever. So the idea that, first of all, that it's harmless because it's not hurting other people is totally missing the point that it has a direct impact on one's own mind. And also the idea that you could have you could have a little bit of alcohol without getting drunk and so on is really, there is no line that says now I'm drunk and now I'm not. A person who drinks one glass of alcohol, I mean, I'm not an angel, I've done all this before myself. A person who has a little bit of alcohol becomes a little bit less alert and aware. This is really why we do it and why there's so much pleasure. I mean, you can ask yourself, where is the pleasure coming from? There is no chemical in alcohol, as far as I know, that stimulates pleasure in the mind. So what's really happening is you're losing your sense of shame and your sense of morality, your sense of awareness of what you're doing. once you're drunk, once you're intoxicated, everything seems funny, everything seems interesting. You become stupid, you become dumb. You feel like you're intelligent and wise, and you're carrying on all these conversations, and everyone's must be really keen on you, or everyone must think you're such a great person, when in fact they think you're an idiot, and you're just making a fool of yourself, and so on. I mean, I grew up in the boonies, surrounded by, we lived out in the country, so we would have bush parties, and the things people did, you can't say that there is any honor or any nobility to be had from the pleasure that comes from alcohol. It doesn't bring pleasure. It brings the inability to discern what is right and wrong, and so as a result, you're able to do all sorts of wrong things without feeling guilty, without feeling upset about them, and therefore you have this freedom, this sense of inhibition, or lack of inhibition, but that doesn't change the fact that what you're doing is really, really dumb and really, really wrong, and it's changing your mind, and it's changing the nature of other people's minds. It's changing your environment, and it's leading you towards a social setting and a lifestyle that is surrounded by people who are immoral, who are engaged in pretty much everything else. And this is what Buddhists always say, alcohol leads to everything else, and it really, really does. I mean, your stupidity of mind, the lack of clarity, the mind which is dull and so on, and is able to get past its inhibitions against doing other immoral acts, will lead you to surround yourself with immoral people and to engage in immoral acts without thought, without consciousness. I mean, I've been there, I've done it all. This isn't talking from theory. And I think if people are honest with themselves, they really have to wake up and see that this is the case, and in their own lives this is what's happening. For people who drink alcohol, it changes your mind, so it changes your life, and there's a great number of things that come along with it. It's the opposite of the meditation practice, and so if the meditation practice brings clarity, if the clarity from meditation brings goodness, brings happiness, brings peace, then the lack of clarity, the dullness that comes from drinking alcohol, even though it has some great pleasure when you're doing it, is going to drag you down and down and down, and turn you into a base and immoral person. It really does do that. I mean, and again, it's totally a matter of quantity. So if you drink a little bit, it degrades your life, it degrades your mind a little bit. If you drink a lot, it degrades your life to a great extent. So it's not saying that if you drink once in a while you're going to go to hell, or you're going to have a terrible life, or so on, but it's a bad thing to do. So which brings us to the point of, well, what's wrong with taking alcohol once in a while? And so people will say, well, they have this rule, but if I just take it once in a while, well, it's not going to make me an evil person. And no, of course it's not. A person can take a glass of alcohol, and the effect that it has on the mind will wear off, and one can develop one's mind again and get back on track and so on. And as long as one stays in moderation, one can theoretically, get past it. Now the point is that, as I said, even one glass of alcohol is a bad thing. It affects your clear mind. It's no good. It's poison. If you take a lot of it, it will have a great effect on your life, on your mind, on your environment. So the reason, our reason for taking the rules strictly, and why I would definitely 100% recommend that you keep the rule against taking drugs and alcohol 100% and not engage in it, even in moderation, is because of the precedent that it sets, both for yourself and for others. First, the fact that you're drinking will mean that you'll be surrounded by other people who are drinking. You're surrounded by people who, and you yourself also have this idea that there's nothing wrong with this, or have the acceptance of the taking alcohol. Your environment and the places that you hang out and so on are all going to reflect that. The acceptance that you give to the alcohol, that you give to taking it, even in moderation, is a lifestyle choice, and is a way of life that you choose and that you take on. And so what that does to your own mind is creates this acceptance of things that are unwholesome. I mean, if you the story that they give is if you give a bowl of milk and a bowl of alcohol to a dog, what's the dog going to do? There's no dog that I know of. Well, you can train your dog apparently, but an ordinary dog will not hesitate and will go straight for the milk and ignore the alcohol, and they wouldn't touch it unless apparently you can train your dog to drink alcohol. I don't know, or beer anyway. But you take just the alcohol from it, and they know that it's poison. The fact that we're taking it shows that we have some problem in our mind, and the fact that we have social structures set up that incorporate alcohol into them shows that there's a problem with their social structures. And so the fact that we engage in it in moderation, so we say, I mean, there really is no moderation with something that is poisonous, with something that dulls your mind, to the extent that alcohol does. I mean, you could make an argument for watching television and watching movies and so on. Someone could say also intoxicate the mind, but the level is totally different. There's a direct intoxication effect from alcohol, and the lack of ability to see things clearly that comes from taking alcohol. Really, all you can do without problems when you're drunk is to sleep, is to lie down and shut your mind off, because the mind doesn't work. The brain isn't functioning properly. If you use the brain in this state, you're not going to have any ability to discern what is good and what is bad, because your faculties are mixed up. So by creating this standard for ourselves, that no, we are not going to engage in something which the only effect of that substance is to intoxicate the mind, then we deny this lifestyle, we deny this sort of social structure, and we change our lifestyles. What this does is it changes your environment, it changes your friendships, and it sets you on a lifestyle that is conducive towards clarity and understanding and freedom from suffering and peace and happiness. And so this is why for people who are interested in practicing meditation, this precept and all 5 of the precepts are really a basic requirement, something that by all means have to be kept in full for someone who is serious about taking on this sort of a lifestyle, because they will have a direct impact on your life. If you break these 5 rules, it's going to, less or more, it's going to have an effect on your life and change who you are. So because of the effect that alcohol has on you, yes, we abstain from it 100%. We take this as a rule. It's not that you can't do it and then come back and meditate, but you're doing the opposite. You're doing 2 different things that are going in the opposite direction. And so, as a rule, we take this on ourselves because we're trying to create an environment, a social structure, a way of life for ourselves that is conducive towards meditation. And even a little bit of alcohol is going to set you in a situation or in situations where you're surrounded by such people as are unmindful and uninterested in meditation. And that's a real problem. Even if it doesn't get you stinking drunk, the effect that it has on your mind and the effect it has on your surroundings is going to be a great hindrance to your meditation practice and progress. So I hope this helps. I'm sure there's people out there who are not going to agree with this and are going to continue to drink alcohol, and I'm not the judge. I had an old friend who said, no one can escape their karma. And he would always say this. Whenever there was an argument and people said, this is right, that is right, he said, Well, no one can escape their karma, and if you do a good thing, you'll get a good result. If you do a bad thing, you'll get a bad result. So we'll see what the result is. And you can see for yourself what the result is. You don't have to believe me. If it's a good result, keep doing it. So, hope that has helped, and all the best. Thanks for tuning in.